What's up guys, my name is Doug. Welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. I'm very happy that you guys decided to stop by today. We're going to be listening to a written testimony by Electronica. Now, for those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you might know if you've watched some of the Q&As that I have really only been listening to hip hop since I was about 16, and I'm 22 now, so in total that's like 6 years really that I've been listening to hip hop. I haven't really been listening all that long, so there's a whole lot of homework that I've got to do, a whole lot of artists and albums, classic albums that I've got to catch up on. And so I'm really not familiar with Electronica. I'm not going to pretend to be. I'm not going to pretend like I've been waiting for this project for 10 years because I didn't even know that it took them 10 years to drop it. But people are really excited about it. People are saying that this is a really great album, and I'm honestly excited to hear it. You know, I want to hear something new. And this is going to be basically my introduction to Electronica, and we'll see what he's got for us. You know, I'm going into it with an open mind. I know that it's a really lyrical album, and those of you that watch the channel know that I tend to focus more on the production side of things, and my ear is better tuned to that. I don't really catch a whole lot of the bars on the first listen, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best. With that said, there's really not too much to say as an intro, so you know how to support the channel. I'm gonna just leave that up to you. Support however you see fit, and I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna try and analyze this as best as I can, and maybe I'll end up doing a final thoughts video for it if this album is really captivating and I feel like I didn't get enough off my chest about it in this video. So with that said, the first track is The Overwhelming Event. Let's get into it. This is a written testimony.
I asked the question, who are the real children of Israel? And I'd like to answer it right away. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said that Almighty God, Allah, revealed to him, and we are the choice of God.
This production is absolutely beautiful. So basically, the production is super cinematic and beautifully orchestrated. You know, all the strings, the entire atmosphere of the track is really beautiful and heavenly, and it does feel a little bit like this is a climactic, overwhelming event, which is, you know, totally makes sense. And Electronica, is that who's talking, is saying that he's going to be proving that the black people of America are the true children of Israel. Maybe that's like the theme, is like a lawyer in a courtroom. He's going to be trying to make this case that black people are the chosen people throughout this project. You know, I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's going to be fun to try and hear what he has to say. But yeah, basically just an intro. It's literally an intro to the actual first track of the project, which is Ghost of SOULJA Slim.
Just sit down. Respect us, that little mess ain't going through you. I true for nigga. I ain't even trying to pull you up, make on your slim. My ancestors took old food, made soul food. Gym clothes and troops. Mouthful for the cameras, I make a silent movie. Now here's some jury. No civilization is consider it Quran. If it come from any of those, consider it haram. The minaret that you can prove me on. Want me to hang by my collar, but I'll praise through the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I come off of my nations to God for this universal therapy. Think of things I said that you hated then.
So production-wise, I think that the melodies are really interesting. They almost have like this elevator music kind of feel to it. You know, I think that it's really great. The instruments and the really smushed, crushed drums, they're not, you know, overpowering the rest of the track because this is a very lyrical album. And so the focus is on the lyrics that Electronica and Jay-Z of all people are spitting on this. Now, Jay-Z wasn't mentioned here as a feature, so I wasn't expecting that, but you know, it's really interesting to hear them both kind of go off. I mean, like I said, I have an ear for production, and so lyrics really take a long time for me to digest and to catch. So I know that the comments are going to be filled with bars that I missed, and that's okay. Let me know which bars I missed, because I'm not following along with Genius or anything like that. I'm just trying to listen with my ears and kind of experience this. But I did catch like a whole lot of references to the Quran and to the Bible, phrases that like Jesus would have said, like verily, verily, I say unto you, and things like that from Electronica. Talking about from what I understood, black people's struggles in America. I think it's a great track. You know, I think that the instrumentals really fit like the actual performance from both artists. And I think it's a really dope track. I'm sure it's going to grow on me. Like I said, this album is certainly going to be a grower. And the next track is The Blinding, featuring Travis Scott. Ugh. That's filthy.
Flyer, stowed away captive, a long way home from Zion. The dove prince ain't
that boy already united.
Jay-Z again?
You speaking on to my symbol heads. You got shit out the gun, sir. I'm brazy, I'm so brazen.
the return of lost and found tribe, Shabazz, and Anunnaki. It's the return of Mrs. Course.
keeps giving like babushka.
It's travel, it's too
Ooh.
it's too life. Hove hit me up like
This beat switch up is great.
My bank account, I'll say it to the dice. When I lay down
Wow.
on my bed, it's like my head in the vice.
Man, I was expecting more from Travis Scott. He really literally only had like one line, and it was repeated, once more after that. It would have made much more sense to have featuring Jay-Z on here than featuring Travis Scott. But again, very surprised to hear Jay-Z on another track not being listed as a feature. I'm just going to assume he's on the majority of this at this point, since he's never listed at all. Really great to hear him tag teaming with Jay Electronica and just loading us up with bars. Yeah, again, the featuring Travis Scott doesn't really make too much sense to me. In terms of the beat switch up and the production, I think it was great. And again, very lyrical track. I think it was executed really well. I think that the switch up was well done. And this is, again, another really good track.
Tall, dark, and decked out with customary regalia, smelling like paraphernalia. It was sometimes it snows in April. He was brought up by the faithful in the cage of every uncle. Shift the 6, convert the V4 to a broomstick. I tarried through the valley of death. The prodigal son who went from his own vomit to the top of the mountain with 5 pillars in the sonnet. The altar won't beef, I'll fillet me on you. You can catch me bummy as fuck.
Whole story takes place in ancient Egypt. They're kin to Heidi White, that blue-eyed version is make-believe stuff. She got me out of house, let heat next. Neither tool can be used to fix our defects. P.S.
Yo, Jay is killing it, man. Jay-Z. It's crazy how Jay-Z comes on the track and he in terms of like how long Jay Electronica rapped for and then Jay-Z's verse was so much shorter, but there was so much more that impacted me that I could resonate with. Talking about the whitewashing of even Jesus, really, and painting him as a white dude with blue eyes, all that. I mean, there was so much that I could actually understand, that I could actually see where he was coming from in his verse. And Jay Electronica's verse, although I felt like it was a little wordy, I could understand some of the wordplay, and I thought that was really interesting, but it didn't really feel like he said as much as Jay-Z did with less words, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Jay-Z has this unique ability of impacting you with what he's saying and actually saying something and being extremely incredible with the wordplay, whereas Jay Electronica kind of felt like he was trying to flex his wordplay, and I don't feel like he ever got around to saying as much as Jay, for me, off my first listen. I could absolutely be off base there. But also the production is great, very beautiful. Probably my favorite track so far. And yeah, next track is Shiny Suit Theory featuring The Dream, and I'm assuming Jay-Z.
Let him go, let him go, let him go. Sailing on the cloud, the trail, I pack up all my sins and every yell that I blow and let him go, let him go. Boys, synagogues and shrines, man was in his prime. Look how far I go.
In a land before altar boys, synagogues and shrines, is that what he said? Man was in his prime. So he's trying to say that mankind was better off without religion, or without different religions to divide us. Is that what he's kind of saying? I thought that was a clever way of putting it, especially because of the flow. A land without altar boys, synagogues, and shrines. Man was in his prime. I thought that was clever.
Phantom of the Chakras. Me and Puff, we was chilling.
Phantom of the
Chakras. Like you supposed to, spit it for the culture. Hey, no, get them with a remix to make sure that they play me twice. I thought you said it's the return of the black cat.
Set across the line between real life and fantasy. Can it be the same one on covers with Warren Buffett? Rappers / hustlers. Ooh, God, it's so hard to conceive. Put it off, you think you'll make it off the script before they pop you. Nigga, you gotta be psychotic. You being so prosperous is preposterous.
The flow, man.
They'll hear my dream.
That's a great track, man. Production's phenomenal. Again, love that little melody. I'm loving the drums, the nice boom bap, straight hip hop drums sound great. Jay-Z and Jay Electronica went off. The little singing, in the outro was also phenomenal. I love some of the lines that I was able to catch in there. And yeah, that's a phenomenal track. Next track is Universal Soldier.
Atomic bomb to Japan, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets.
I can't wait to hear this with headphones on, man.
That's why I build my temple like Solomon in the desert. The Lord is my, I flow like embers of coal, born with a touch of gold. I'm mathematical theology for my nose. Some of the cons I suffer for pros. My poem spit the children on the mothership, bow on the platform. I got the rock on my shoulder. Somebody should have told you I'm a motherfucker.
Ended like Tony in the restaurant. Now the general boy like I'm BG, that Fiji on me. We done ducked them fed. We was in your cotton fields, now we sitting on beats. On me.
This sounds great. The atmosphere is crazy. Yeah, the atmosphere to that outro to this track is crazy. It's like over a minute of just solid instrumentals and ambience, and it sounds really, really great. And like I said towards the beginning of this track, I can't wait to hear it with headphones on, because having the actual stereo sound is going to be nuts. Loving the two verses on this one. Also, it's a smoother track. It's like a slower one. It makes it a little easier to kind of understand what they're saying, because they have to pace themselves a little bit. You know, I think that I would say that they both actually stacked up pretty equally on this track. I was a big fan of both of their verses, about the same. You know, and I think that just the displays of lyricism and wordplay and alliteration and allusions to the Bible and to the Quran, you know, Solomon building the temple in the desert and things like that, just make this such an interesting listen. You know, next track is Flux Capacitor. Oh, Philly delivery like Moses. That's great. Yeah, right now, the way that this track has been mixed, there's so much going on that it is a little bit tough to actually pick out a lot of the things that he's saying. You know, there's like a really staticky snare and a bunch of sound effects going on, so it is a little tough to clearly understand him, you know. So a lot of bars are going to be flying over my head right now, and I think that I mention this a lot. My speaker is in mono, maybe in stereo it will be a little easier to understand him with headphones on, but right now I've got the volume turned up on my speaker and I've got it actually inclined so that the audio is coming right at me, and I'm still having a tough time understanding him. So I think that the mix maybe could be a little cleaner.
Now believers, I created my own Easter. Evidence for your reverence. Visions of sugar plums for all of the boys and girls. Why would I sell out a handcuff to
Yo, got more money than Goodell. A whole NFL bench is crazy. That's crazy. Why would I sell out? Why would I sell out? I'm already rich. Got more money than Goodell. A whole NFL bench. That's nuts. That's crazy.
When I die, please don't tell me about my death.
Yeah, my wife just pointed out that this sample is Higher by Rihanna. That's a good ear. I hadn't noticed, but yeah, it really is. It sounds great.
Do rise up from the belly of the dunya. Do rise up from the rapping duke. The hard. You never thought we'd make it to lack in the hand and the law. Truths remain self-evident. ROC stands strong like thought.
This man's got allusions to the Bible, to the Quran, and now to the Declaration of Independence. Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, you know, I think that this track is great. I love the verses. I think Jay-Z did better than Jay Electronica on this one. That bar about Goodell and the NFL bench is insane. I love the sample from Rihanna's Higher, but I really think that this beat could have been mixed better, because it really is overpowering a lot of their bars, a lot of their vocals. There's a lot of mud in this mix. And I think that just the beat could have been better executed and better mixed. You know what I mean? So there is that little issue with this track. But besides that, I think everything about it is really nice. Next track is Fruits of the Spirit. That's another allusion to the Bible right there.
I snap on the track like the fingers of Thanos. Como también no heart chakra light up when I make signs that FLUX.
You know, I'm lucky I have like a limited understanding of Spanish, just because I speak Portuguese and they're a little similar. Because, I mean, a lot of these would be going over my head right now.
From the reporters, ass shots and stripper pose for the eyes of my daughter. Swimmer, but I had to take the underground railroad like Harriet.
Yo!
My cross, I carried it. My crown of thorns to Calvary.
Oh my God, yo, these illusions are crazy.
Rise young gods, all past me to Lazarus. The dry bones that lifted up from the valley dust.
Yo, the hymn, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, going into My Cross, I Carried It, going into The Crown of Thorns, going into,
Rise young gods.
oh yeah, going into Lazarus, and then going into the Valley of the Bones, resurrecting. It's another biblical story. I forget who was it. Was it Elijah? Who was the prophet that was there when all the bones were resurrected? I think it was Elijah. Don't quote me on that. Any Bible scholars watching this video, don't get upset with me for not remembering that. But yeah, it's so in line with the name of the track. Having all these allusions and these references to biblical stories is just, I'm loving this right now. I think it's super clever. and it's executed really, really well. All the references make so much sense to what he's talking about. I love the way he's incorporating those.
Filled full of dreams is where they tried to bury us.
Oh wow, that's basically it. Super short track, just a verse from Jay Electronica, and he ripped it, dude. Love the super understated beat, very minimal drums. Love the little soulful sample, and this has got to be one of my favorite verses off this project so far, just because of so many references that I was able to catch. And I just love it when I'm actually able to catch these lyrics and understand them. It's super great for me, and it's just an awesome experience. Next track is Ezekiel's Wheel featuring The Dream. That's another biblical reference right there. Ezekiel's Wheel is a very interesting story, by the way. That's one of the craziest visions to this day that I've read about in the Bible. It's 4 wheels, one inside the other like a gyroscope, and they're covered in eyes, and they follow 4 winged beasts that carry basically the firmament that God's throne sits on. It's really interesting if you want to read it. It's Ezekiel chapter 1, where he goes through that vision. And he mentions it again, I think, in chapter 10, I believe. Let's listen to Ezekiel's Wheel. I'm rambling.
We gon' see. Talking to me, right?
They say it was gonna never happen, but I survived Neverland like the Jacksons. Little socks, now I'm moonwalking on your couch with many zippers on my jacket.
Love the Jackson reference.
Cause familiarity don't breed gratitude, just contempt. The price of sanity.
Too damn high.
Sometimes
I just remembered that, yo. That was a meme a few years ago. The governor, who was it? A governor or a senator or a congressman? I forget. He had the really crazy beard, and he was ranting about how the rent was too damn high. That's so funny that he mentioned that.
Times like Santiago, at crucial points in my novel, my only logic.
We gon' see.
This clicking is so interesting. Like it would be so easy for this clicking sound to be harsh or to be abrasive, but it isn't. It isn't. It's a nice pulse to the track. It keeps the tempo, it keeps the rhythm going, and it doesn't sound harsh at all. Or bad. They managed to make it sound just interesting, just nice, creative, without sounding like it's overpowering everything else. I think that's really nice.
Whatever you won't get into, my nigga, I'm here for it. I'm smelling like a Marley, doing 90 on the on-ramp, and my destiny is calling. Disappeared and reappeared and dumped the clutch and wheelie down the highway. My debut.
All the manual car drivers are losing their minds there.
Show up to the party. May all my haters hit their knees and throw up in the toilet.
Yeah, that's just a really trippy track. The production is very understated. It's got a crazy atmosphere to it. That pulse is really great. Jay-Z's chorus, I guess it's a chorus, is nice. And The Dream's harmonizing is really dreamy, pun intended. It's very ethereal. It's nice. It's wavy. I do feel like it's a little long at almost 7 minutes, but we got 2 very solid Jay Electronica verses from there. And so, I'm not mad at it. I think it's a really trippy track that's going to sound great. If you're sitting here listening to it to analyze it and to try to break it down, it can be tough to keep your focus for 7 minutes. But if you're listening to this project in a casual listen and it comes on, and it's really nice to just lose yourself in it, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to get mad at that track. And the last track is A.P.I.D.T.A. I'm not sure what it stands for, but yeah, this is A.P.I.D.T.A.
That'll never ring again, cause a lot of call them home. So until we sing again, home, that'll never ping again. I screenshot them.
That's real, dude. With the guitar in the background, that's so sad.
We fight back the anxiety. I go to my Lord quietly. Teardrops on our faces. Those my wounds pour out my eyes is like libations. I can't stop my mind from racing. The day my mama died, I scrolled her texts all day long. The physical returns, but the Kniep is just pajamas. The flesh we roam this earth and it's a blessing, not a promise. Sometimes it's towers like the Eiffel. Sometimes I wonder do the trees get sad.
Stay well. Stay well.
That is a beautiful track. It's so sorrowful, in its production. Very minimal drums again. Crazy sad guitar and smooth keys and bass line to just set the atmosphere. Set that really mournful, really sad atmosphere for this track. And Jay-Z and Jay Electronica just go off about the people that they've lost, the people that they love, that they're mourning for, you know. What is it? I've got numbers on my phone that'll never ring again, 'cause Allah done called them home, so we'll never sing again. Like, that's sad, dude. It's sad, and it's relatable because everybody goes through it. And it's just a really emotional track, especially when Jay Electronica starts talking about his own personal experience losing his mother. You know, that's just something that is so sad to hear. It's so real, though. It's so raw. And I love that about this track. I think it's a beautiful closer for this project. And now, speaking of this project, so like I said at the beginning, I'm not great at catching lyrics first time around. But still, I managed to catch enough for me to really enjoy this project first listen. The production was great, you know, and I tried my best not to focus too much on it because I really wanted to catch the essence of what they were saying. I love that this is basically a collab album between Jay Electronica and Jay-Z. I do think that Jay out-rapped Jay Electronica quite a few times, but there were other verses and other times when I felt that Jay either managed to stack up really well against him, and also, what was it? Is it Fruits of the Spirit basically just had Jay Electronica and he ripped that verse. So, you know, this is still a very solid, not solid, this is a great outing from Jay Electronica in my opinion, lyrically. And it definitely, I was able to catch enough to really keep me invested and interested and want to come back and listen to it again. I think that a lot of the production elements were very creative, they were very unique. They managed to make old school boom bap beats that still keep you interested, that still have a kick, like a knock to them, to be hard hitting. You know, so many people want that in their music nowadays. They want the bass to be crazy, and they want the windows to shake in their cars, and so they managed to do that and still say something meaningful, and still say something important on these tracks. So, you know, this project has its issues, a few mixes that I didn't really enjoy, some beats that I could have done without. The Travis Scott feature was really lackluster because it was basically just one line that they played 2 times on the track. But for the most part, this definitely is one of the best projects I've heard this year off my first listen. One of the more interesting cinematic projects for sure. I'm loving all the allusions and all the references to biblical concepts and biblical stories that I resonate with so much and that I read about so often. You know, I think that really touched me personally. And so I think that this album is great. I absolutely loved it. And I'm not certain whether or not it's album of the year yet. Like I said, I'm not going to do that. I've only heard it once, and there's a lot that I've missed. Yeah, off my first listen, I absolutely love it. I think it's great. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. Thank you all so much for watching this video. You all know how to support these YouTube channels. You can subscribe, become a patron, become a member of the channel, follow my social media. Submit your tracks for putting y'all on. The deadline is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 18th. And yeah, like I said, thank you for watching. I'll be back in another video very soon. Until then, stay safe. Peace out.